I think now problem is solved. Very hard. I like it here. Thank you. Okay, with it. We were discussing about this question. Okay, actually, when there's acceleration, what will happen? What will happen? This ball has a velocity. It will not be changed because there's no acceleration for the ball. Now, because now this ball is in the space. Now this ball is in the space. Therefore, there is no contact between the train and the ball. Now it is in the space. Therefore, it doesn't have a acceleration or velocity of the train. And but it had the initial velocity which is equal to train when the ball is released. That velocity is not changed because there's no acceleration towards the horizontal direction. And then මෙයාට acceleration එකක් නැති නිසා initial velocity වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් initial velocity එක තිබ්බා. මොකද එතකොට අර ball එක අතේ තියෙනකොට ඒ අතේ තියෙනකොට එයාට velocity එකක් තියෙනවානේ ball එකට. අන්නේ velocity තියෙනවා. ඒ velocity දිගටම තියෙනවා. ඒ velocity දිගටම තියෙන්නේ but that is not equal to the velocity of train because now the velocity of train changes because there is acceleration. Because there is acceleration. Therefore, this man will move more than the ball. Therefore, definitely the ball will fall behind the man. The ball will fall behind the man. Did you get my point? Okay, thank you. මේ හොඳම පාර්ට් එක පුතේ මේක මම අර velocity කතන්දරේ දිගටම එහා තියෙන velocity. මේ velocity දිගටම තියෙනවා. ඒ velocity මෙයා constant velocity යන වෙලාවට ඒ velocity මේක equal. ඒක නිසා මෙයාට relative velocity එකක් නැහැ. මෙයා constant velocity යන්නේ නැත්නම් ඒක equal වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ velocity එහෙමම තියෙනවා. මෙයාගේ velocity වෙනස් වෙනවා. මේක දාන්න. මේක දාන්න. Yes. But this is at the time the train was moving at a constant speed, no? Constant. නෑ මට අහද්දි එක මේ මට තේරෙනවා මොකක්ද අහන්නේ කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මාත් ගාලා මේ අර ඇක්සලරේෂන් කතන්දරේ මම දුන්නේ ඒ ක්වෙස්චන් එකත් එක්ක. ඒ අහන්නේ කොහොමද මම එකයි කිව්වේ. මේ ක්වෙස්චන් එක මම දෙන්න ප්ලෑන් කරපු ක්වෙස්චන් එකක් නෙමෙයි අර ක්වෙස්චන් එකත් එක්ක මට හිතුණා මෙහෙම දුන්නොත් හොඳයි කියලා මම ඒකයි දුන්නේ. ඒක හොඳයි ක්වෙස්චන්ස් අහන්න පුළුවන් තරම් ක්වෙස්චන්ස් අහනකොට ඔයාලට ඉගෙන ගන්න දේවල් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. Okay. There are this one. After releasing the ball, there is no contact between the train and the ball. There's no contact between the train and the ball. Therefore, after releasing the ball into the space, after releasing the ball into the space, it is not the part of the trade. It is not the part of the trade. It is not the part. It is not a part. It is not a part of the trade. But when the ball is releasing, it has the velocity of the train. It has the velocity of the train. As there is no horizontal acceleration, as there is no horizontal acceleration, as there is no horizontal acceleration, when the ball is in the space, when the ball is in the space, come on, its horizontal velocity, its horizontal velocity sorry, its horizontal velocity will not be changed with the time. Will not be changed with the time. They write under another para. If the train's velocity, if the train's velocity, if the train's horizontal velocity, if the train's horizontal velocity if the train's horizontal velocity is also a constant, is also a constant, if the train's horizontal velocity is also a constant, then there will not be any relative motion, then there will not be any relative motion in between child and the ball, in between child and the ball in horizontal direction, in horizontal direction. Write it in the para. But but if the train has an acceleration, if the train has an acceleration, its velocity, its horizontal velocity, its horizontal velocity, its horizontal velocity its horizontal velocity increases, increases while the horizontal velocity of ball is a constant, while the horizontal velocity of the ball is a constant. Therefore, therefore, the child will move more. Therefore, the child will move more distance into the horizontal direction than the ball. Therefore, the child will move more distance into the horizontal direction than the ball. So, ball will fall behind the child. So, ball will fall behind the child. Okay. Descriptive විදිහටම කතා කරපු question එකක්. ඒක හොඳයි. මොකද ඔයගේ අහන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ඊට පස්සේ අහන්න පුළුවන් වුණා break ගන්න. එහෙම පාන කරනකොට මේ උඩ දානකොට මු break ගන්නවා. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? හරි. එහෙනම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? එතන break ගන්නවා නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? අනිවාර්යයෙන් එතන මේ deceleration යන තියෙන්නේ. deceleration එකක් තියෙනකොට එහෙනම් අරයාගේ velocity වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක එහෙමම තියෙනවා. මේකගේ velocity අඩු වෙනවා. මේකගේ velocity අඩු වෙනවා. එහෙනම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? අනිවාර්යෙන් බෝල් ඉස්සරහට ගියොත් තමයි එහෙනම් පොලිස් වල කියලා වැටි. අන්න ඒ වගේ අහන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ දැනගන්න ඕනේ මේ වගේ ක්වෙස්චන් එකකින් තව අහන්න පුළුවන් ක්වෙස්චන් තුනක් මම මේ කතා කරා. ඊළඟට බලන්න third one. Ball exists. Today I think it is better to keep a separate book for paper class. ඒකට වෙනම book එකක් තියාගන්න. එතකොට paper එකේ number එක දාලා ඔයාලගේ review එක කියන්නේ මගේ review එක සහ ඒ additional questions ඊට පස්සේ ඔක්කොම තියාගෙන කියන පොතක් හරි එහෙම නැත්නම් මොකක් හරි අර මේ තියෙන ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ අර මේ paper sheets තියෙන ඒවා හරි මොනවා හරි ගමන්නේ මේ පාවිච්චි කරන්න. හැබැයි පිළිවෙලට තියාගන්න. පිළිවෙල තියාගන්න ඕන වෙලාවක හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට පෙර් ක්ලාස් එකේ reviews ටික හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට තියාගන්න. Okay, then third one. Ball X is projected vertically upwards after 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, the ball Y is projected vertically upward from the same place with the same initial velocity. Consider the following statements. Consider the following statement. So tell me, what is the correct answer for third one? That is very, very good question. What is the answer for the third one? What is the correct answer? Third one, what is the correct answer? Ball X is projected vertically upwards 2 seconds after the ball Y is projected vertically upwards from the same place with the same initial velocity. Consider the following statement. We are not given a velocity or anything, but we have to give the answers for this one. X and Y meet 5 meters below the highest point. 5 meters below the highest point. When X and Y meet, velocity of X is 10 ms minus 1. Whatever the time difference between the two balls' projections, speeds are equal at the instant when they meet. Look at the very correct answer. If you did this question, please raise the hand. If you did this question, please raise the hand. Nope. Hi. Now, I will give another question for you. I will give another question for you. I will give another question for you. Can you draw velocity time VT graph for these two objects in the same Cartesian coordinate? තග්ගාලින් මේ දෙන්නගේ VT graph එක අදින්න VT graph එක ඇදලා you have to mention the point where the two balls meet together and please draw the VT graph and send that to me. Send my class number. Class number means not 77381364 number. Not 77381364 number. අනිත් තම්බේකට බලන්න බෑ. ටක් ගාලා ඉඳලවන් මම ටක් ගාලා ඉඳලවන්. හැමෝම this is an exercise. This is an exercise. Please draw the VT graph of x and y in the same Cartesian coordinate and mention the point where the two objects meet together. Then you can understand, then you can identify what are the correct statements. මේකට මෙහෙම දෙයක් ඕන නැහැ අතට ඒ වුණාට මම මේ දෙන්නේ පොඩි ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එකකට. මොකද මේක මැත්ස් කරන කට්ටියට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අහුවෙලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේ මැත්ස් වල අපි සාමාන්‍ය BT කර්ව්ස් කරනකොට වගේ දේවල් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට කෙරෙනවා. ඒක නිසා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේක දැන් මගේ වුණත් ඔය ක්වෙස්චන් එක දැක්ක ගමන් මගේ ඔළුවටම ආවේ BT කර්ව් එකත් එක්ක එන graph එක. ඒකත් එක්ක ඒ කියන්නේ ක්වෙස්චන් එක දැක්ක ගමන් ආන්සර් ගන්න පුළුවන් without doing any calculation. And that is the reason I asked you to draw a VT curve. So if you can imagine that VT curve, then you can clearly get the answer. Okay. So before you draw the VT curve, you have to understand one thing. You know, these actually the entire two motions are somewhat identical motions. But the only difference is the second ball is projected 2 seconds after the first ball. Therefore, the velocity changes and all the things are equal to the both projections. The only thing, 2 seconds, there's a lag, there's a 2 second lagging for the second ball. Therefore, there is no way of collision when the two balls are moving in upward direction. There's no way of collision with it. Because the gap between two balls, actually these two projections are identical projections. Therefore, definitely the collision should occur when the ball X moves in downward direction and ball Y moves in upward direction. That is obvious, Putri. You have to understand that thing because the velocity of Y ball cannot be increased than X ball because all are identical. ඒ නිසා අනිවාර්යෙන් collision එක වෙලා තනකොළු තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන. ඔව්. මම තාම එක ආන්සර් එකක් තාම නැහැ. විකාශන කතාවනේ. හරි සුදු. No. Gradient cannot be different Puthe, because both objects are moving under the gravitational acceleration. Under the gravitational acceleration. Therefore, definitely gradient should be equal. Gradient should be equal. Gradient cannot be changed. Cannot be changed. මේක මේක හිතන් තියෙන කතන්දරේ හරි ලස්සනයි. මේකේ VT curve එක අඳිනවා කියන එක හරි ලස්සනයි. මේකේ VT curve එක අඳිනවා කියන එක හරි ලස්සනයි නේද? මොකද ගොඩක් ළමයි විසාමනේ පිළිගන්න කැමති දේවල් තියෙන අනේ වගේ එකක් මේක. ගොඩක් අය මීට් වෙන කිව්ව ගමන් පුතේ මොකක් හරි අර ඉන්ටර්සෙක්ෂන් එක ඕනෙම ළමයිට. ඔන්න ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙනවා. Okay, tell me one thing. Tell me one thing. When they meet together, when they meet each other, පුතේ, what should be the requirement to this collision? What should be the requirement? What should be the requirement? And what is the characteristic of this meetup? What is the common feature? What is the common feature for both objects when they meet together? Mm-hmm. Just recently. No, there is no acceleration, Gandhi. Yes, now there is a correct answer. Supuma, your graph are correct. Those are correct. Those are correct. Now tell me what would be the point? What would be the point where the two objects are calling each other? Yes, you have to mark. You have to mark that in the graph with it. Your graphs are correct. Yes, listen to your graph are also correct. Your graphs are correct. Mark the place of collision. Mark the place of collision in the graph. Mark the place of collision in the graph. Mark the place of collision in the graph. You have to identify that. Mark the place of collision. Oh, Anita, is you? Shashmita? Could you please send me my class number? No, 77381. 381. 381 4036. Yeah, Shashwati, your answer is correct. Your answer is correct. Collision point also correct. Collision point is also correct. Collision point also correct. Now you can determine what are the statement, what are the correct statement and what are the incorrect statements. Tagga like again. Take a balance. Now, this is good. Mummy make up. Okay. But we are not given the initial speed. Okay? We are not given the initial speed. Therefore, you can draw the VT curve of the first object with it. I don't know what is the initial speed, but you can take it as UOV. Then this is the initial graph. This is the initial graph. X. X එකකින් ඔයාලා කිසිම හිරිහැරයක් නෑ නේද පුළුවන්. You know this gradient is G, okay? Now the second one, you know initial speed, the initial speed of both are same. Both are same, but this object is projected after 2 seconds. After 2 seconds of the first project, first object. Ang time na kumita ng 2 seconds. With the same speed and the acceleration also same. And the acceleration also same. Therefore, gradient cannot be different. It cannot be different. Gradient should be equal because both are moving in under the gravitational acceleration. If you got this thing, please raise the hand. If you got this thing, please raise the hand. Then, you know, the collision should occur. The collision should occur when the ball X is moving into a downward direction and ball Y is moving into the upward direction. Ball Y is moving into the upward direction. Definitely, the collision should occur after this point because this is the point when the ball X is at the topmost position. And therefore, this is the topmost position from after this point. After this point, ball X is moving into the downward direction. Therefore, definitely the collision should occur in between these two. In between these two. This gap should be 2. This gap should be 2. And a gap to 2 in others are all are equal. Therefore, this gap should be 2. Therefore, definitely the collision should occur exactly at the midpoint. Midpoint. Symmetricity. Due to the symmetricity, definitely the collision should occur at this point. Now, ball Y is moving in downward direction. ball X is moving in downward direction, ball Y is moving in upward direction. This gap should be 2. Definitely, the collision should occur exactly at the midpoint because due to the symmetricity. Due to the symmetricity. Okay. With the neck. Hello. So this gap will remain the gap. Hare. Baran, para explain karna. Like you know. Look at this one. Now ball X is projected from this point and ball Y is projected after 2 seconds at the same point with the same speed, with the same speed. Therefore, its motion. Its motion means the pattern of the motion is same for both objects. Therefore, this collision should occur when the ball X is moving into the downward direction and ball Y is moving into the upward direction. Ball Y is moving into the upward direction. මෙන්න මේක තේරුණාද පුස්සා? මේක පැහැදිලි නේද පුස්සා? එහෙනම් බලන්න පුතේ මෙතන වෙනදී මෙයා අනිවාර්යෙන් බලන්න මෙයා අනිවාර්යෙන් හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න. මේ දෙන්න අතර ગેප් එක තත්පර දෙක. මේ දෙන්න අතර ગેප් එක. The gap between these two is 2 seconds. That is the only difference. The gap between these two is 2 seconds. That is the only difference. Therefore, this gap should be 2 seconds. This gap should be 2 seconds. Is that clear? මේ gap එක 2 seconds වෙන්න ඕන කියලා ෂුවර්ද? ඒක තේරෙනවද? All the others are clean. All the others are same. All the others are same. This gap is 2 seconds. මෙන්න මේක 2 seconds නේ. මේ බලන්න. This one is 2 seconds. This one is 2 seconds. Therefore, these two are parallel. These two are parallel to each other. Therefore, this gap is 2 seconds. This gap is 2 seconds means 2. This gap is 2. Is that clear? Therefore, this collision, if we consider about the motion of the x1, x ball is 2 seconds. 2 seconds actually x ball is 2 seconds about the y ball පුතේ. හරිද? එතකොට බලන්න මෙයාට දැන් y ball එක මෙතනට එනවනේ. y ball එක මෙතනට එනකොට පුතේ මේක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම මෙතනට එනවා. හරිද? y ball එක මෙතනට එනකොට මෙයා වැඩිපුර මෙන්න මේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ෂන් එක කරලා තියෙනවා. When the y ball comes to this position, when the y ball comes to this position, the ball X moves this projection, this excess projection, එක වැඩිපුර තියෙන projection එකක් යාගේ. වැඩිපුර projection එකක් ගිහින් තියෙනවා. Therefore, if we consider about this portion, look at this portion. Therefore, this projection takes 2 seconds. This projection takes 2 seconds. That means from here to here, 1 second. From here to here, 1 second. And from here to here, 1 second due to symmetricity. Is that clear? තේරෙනවද උස්සන්නේ? මෙයා වැඩිපුර 2 second ගිහින් තියෙන්නේ. හැබැයි මේ වැඩිපුර 2 second වලදී උඩදී එයාගේ highest position එක set වෙනවා. එහෙනම් මේ highest position එකේ relatively මේ පැත්තේ 1 second වෙන්න ඕනේ, මේ පැත්තේ 1 second ගිහින් තියෙනවා. Is that clear? ඒක තේරෙනවද උස්සන්නේ? ලැගුණා. මම ආයි කියන්න බලන්න. everyone please look at the board. බලන්න කට්ටියම board එක. බලන්න හැමෝම board එක බලන්න. මේ බලන්න ball x මම මේ හරියට දිනනවා. මේ මෙතන හොඳ collision එක මම අදිනවා. collision එකේදී ball x පුතේ මේ පැත්තට යන්නේ, ball y මේ පැත්තට එන්නේ. All the therefore it is very clear, ball x moves this much of excess projection. This is the excess projection the ball x travels than ball y. Therefore, this projection should take 2 seconds because the gap between x and y is only 2 seconds. The gap between x and y is only 2 seconds. Therefore, from here to here, this projection should take 2 seconds. Did you get my point? If you get my point, please raise the hand. I need responses from you. I need responses from you. Thank you. You know, if this projection takes 2 seconds, you know this projection is symmetrical about this point. This projection is symmetrical about this point. Therefore, from here to here, it takes 1 second, and from here to here, it takes 1 second. Therefore, from initial point to meet up, it will take 1 second. It will take only 1 second. Is that clear? Therefore, from the initial point, right? Highest point. From the highest point to meet up point, it will take only 1 second. If you get that one, please raise the hand. එහෙනම් බොහොම පැහැදිලි මම එන්න මේ කියව කතන්දරේ පැහැදිලි නේද? මේ ගැප් එක 2 එහෙනම් හරියට මේ දෙන්න ඒ සිමෙට්‍රිසිටි සැලකුවොත් එහෙම සිමෙට්‍රිසිටි සැලකුවොත් එහෙම හරියට මේක දෙකට බෙදන්න තැන තමයි හම්බ වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයා 1 second වලින්. මේ මේක නෙවෙයි පුතේ. මේක තමයි මෙයාගේ highest point එක. එහෙනම් highest point එකේ ඉඳන් 1 second ගිහින් තියෙනවා. Is that clear? Highest point එකේ ඉඳන් 1 second ගිහින් තියෙනවා. Is that clear? තේරෙනවද උස්සන්නේ? graph එකේ highest point එකේ ඉඳන් 1 second ගිහින් තියෙනවා. If you get that one, please raise the hand. තේරෙනවද උස්සන්නේ? එහෙනම් දැන් answers ඔක්කොම ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ගන්න පුළුවන් මේ answers ඔක්කොම. එහෙනම් බොහොම පැහැදිලි පුතේ මෙන්න distance එක. මෙන්න මෙතන තියෙන distance එක. මෙතන තියෙන distance එක. ඒ distance එක ගන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාලට ගෙලින්ම s equal ut u නැහැනේ පුතේ u 0 නැත්නම් මෙතන නැට. එහෙම දාලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් මෙයාගේ area එකෙන් ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. area එකෙන් ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. මොකද මෙතන 1 එහෙනම් මෙතන කීයද එන්නේ? මේ height එක පුතේ 10 එන්න ඕනේ නේද? 1g නේ. time into g නේ එන්න ඕනේ. time into g කියලා කියන්නේ එහෙනම් මෙතන 10 එන්න ඕනේ. මෙතන 10 එන්න ඕනේ. මොකද 1 over 10 sorry 10 over 1 is equal acceleration පුතේ. මේ මගේ අඳලා තියෙන මේ gradient එක අඳලා තියෙන. gradient එක අඳලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් මෙතන 10 මෙතන 1 වෙනවා. එහෙනම් මේක height එක 10 මේක එහෙනම් answer එක s equal half 1 into 10. එහෙම ගන්නත් පුළුවන් නැත්නම් s equal ut plus half 80 දාගන්නත් පුළුවන් මෙතන මෙතනට. S equal ut plus half at square දාන්න half at square දාන්න පුළුවන් නේද? U is 0. From here to here U is 0. Half at squared. Half at squared. T is 1 T is 1. A is 10. Therefore S is 5 meter. S is 5 meter. Therefore definitely they will call it 5 meter below the highest point. They will call it 5 meter below the highest point. Did you get my point? If you get my point, please raise the hand if you know a question. පැහැදිලි වෙන question. ඒක ගන්න පුතේ මේ x පැත්ත දන්නවා නම් x එක දන්නවා නම් y එක හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද? x පැත්ත දන්නවා නම් y එක හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් at නේ. Acceleration into time. Acceleration into time. Gradient එක නේ. මම මේක කිව්වගේ තේරුම් නැත්නම් ආයෙත් උස්සන්න මම මේ කිව්ව 5 මීටර ගත්ත එක තේරුම් නැත්නම් උස්සන්න 5 මීටර ගන්න පුළුවන් ආකාර දෙකකින් එකක් s equal ut plus half at square වල මෙතන දාන්න එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ gradient එක මෙතන sorry මෙතන area එක ගන්න මේ area මේ height this height is equal this is the x1 එබා මේක තේරෙයි if you know the time difference or if you know this axis and if you know the gradient, this height should be 80. This height should be 80 because 80 over t is equal to. Therefore, y can be determined using x distance, x gap into gradient, x gap into gradient, and x gap into gradient. Is that clear? Take the answer. Therefore, x and y meet 5 meter below the highest point. That is correct. Put it. Then next one. When x and y meet, velocity of x is 10 ms minus 1. Yes, that is correct. No, we have determined that thing. When x and y meet at this point, the velocity is 10 ms minus 1. That is correct. The velocity is 10 ms minus 1 into the downward direction. Second one also correct. Did you get my point? If you get my point, please raise the hand. Velocity 10 ms minus 1. I need responses from everyone. They will not again. They will not again. Then, whatever the time difference between two ball projections, its speeds are equal when the instant when they meet. Yes. Actually, when they meet, you know, although the time difference, although this gap is vary, you know, definitely that meetup should be occur at the midpoint. At the midpoint of this gap. Therefore, if the collision is occurred at the midpoint, definitely this height and this height, that means this height and this height should be equal. They should be equal because this length and this length is equal, and this is 90-90, and these angles are also equal. Therefore, these two are equal triangles. Therefore, this height and this height should be equal. They should be. Therefore, definitely, although whatever the time difference is, when the two balls are collide, definitely the velocity of two ball should be velocity, no, speed. The speed of two balls should be. If you get that one, please raise the අන්තිම එක තේරුණා නේද උස්සන්න. I need responses from everyone. හරිද පුතේ? Therefore, definitely, what is the answer? Therefore, answer is answer number 4. Answer is answer number 4. හරි. මේ question එක තේරුණා නේද උස්සන්න? මේ question එක මම ඔය answer එක තේරුණා නේද උස්සන්න? ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඕන දෙයක් මෙතන දාගන්න. Okay, now you can write anything. Now you can write anything. Okay, the next question. A train X that travels at a constant velocity u at t equals 0, it overtakes a station. At t equals 0, another train Y at the same station starts the journey from the rest in the same direction on a parallel path. At t equal to t, it gains a velocity of 2u as shown in the figure. After that, train decelerates when t equal 40, it comes to another station and stops. Which of the following statement about there should be a correction about the graph is not true. Not true, Vedwan. It should be not true. It should be not true, okay? But the graph is not true. Okay. Shall I erase this one? Shall I erase? Thank you. Okay. So according to the graph, it is very clear this area and this area are equal. These two areas are equal. And here T, 2T, 3T, 4T. And it is very clear this height and this length also equal, therefore this area also equal. They got equal. Okay. This height is U, length is T. Okay. Perpendicular height is U, base is T. T, this height is U. This height is T, this length is U. Again, this height is C, this length is U. Therefore, that part also equal. All equal. They can have each other. Initially, both trains are actually initially both trains start from the same starting point. Initial points are equal. Initially, both trains start from the same starting point. Both start from the same starting point with different tracks. Make a x, put a make a 1. Make a x, make a 1. Initially, x moves at the constant speed of u and it continues. Put a y. Initially, the velocity of y is 0. Put a, but it accelerates gradually and comes up to 2u. Then it decelerated. So it is very clear initially x has the highest speed, then x will move a higher distance than y. But y gradually increases its velocity. Therefore, after some time, there is a possibility of overtaking x by y. Now it is very clear as the initial point is same, when the y overtakes x, definitely this displacement should be equal. This displacement should be equal because when y overtakes x, both are at the same position. Both are the same position. Therefore, distance from the initial point should be same for the both trains. Therefore, displacement should be equal. As the displacement are equal, that means area under the graph should be equal. When the area under the graph are equal, definitely we can say both objects are at the same position, then one object can overtake other. Then definitely, this much of area is higher in the first half of time, but that area will be covered by y in the second half of time. Therefore, if we consider about the motion up to 2t, what happens? Both objects have same displacement because this is common displacement. Common displacement, and these two are equal. That means the displacement of x and y are equal. Definitely, that means y overtakes x at 2t. Y overtakes x at 2t. Did you get my point? If you get my point, please raise the hand. තේරුණා තුස්සම කිව්වේ. Therefore, one is correct. One is correct. And second one, x overtake y at 3t. X overtake y at 3t. No, it cannot be happen. It cannot be happen. If you consider about that displacement up to here, displacement up to here, this part are common, this part are common, this hatched part are common, this hatched part are common. But y have two a's while x have one a. Therefore, y has a higher displacement than x with it. Y has a higher displacement than x. Therefore, there is no overtaking at 3t because y is now in front of x with it. Did you get my point? If you get my point, please raise the hand. Take the option. Now keep it y වලට වැඩිපුර displacement එකක් තියෙනවා extra වඩා මේ displacement එක common නේ හැම වෙලේම common displacement අයින් කරන්න you have to remove the common displacement no need to worry about common displacement because this common area common for both y and x this area is common for both y and x therefore the displacement represented by this area is common for both y and x put it. Therefore, when you are comparing the displacement, no need to worry about common area. You can remove it. Then you have to consider about the uncommon area. This is only for x. This is only for x put it. Because this area is not under the y curve. Therefore, this one is only for x. And this area is only for y because it is under the curve of y, not under the curve of x. Therefore, this is the displacement related to y only. This is the displacement related to x only. This is the displacement common for both x and y. As they are common, no need to worry about that thing, both are same. Therefore, you have to only compare this uncommon displacement. Therefore, you have to compare whether they are equal or not. Now, it is very clear the area related to y is 2a and area related to x is only a. Therefore, that means y has displaced more than x. That means y and x are not at the same position. So there is no way to overtake x, may overtake y by x putting because they are not at the same position. Did you get my point? If you get my point, please raise the hand. I need responses from everyone. Thank you. Second okay, next overtakes y at 3t, that is wrong. Third one, at t equal 3t, both trains have same velocity. 3t velocity is same. Velocity is same. Okay? Yes, that is common. Train next overtakes y at 40. 140 overtake cannot give. Now x has these two displacement. No, this displacement is not common for x and y. It is only for x. This one only for x. This one only for x. This one only for x. And these two only for y. Now it is very clear. Uncommon area of y and x. Now they are equal. Now they are equal. That means now, that means now That means now x and y are at the same position. X and y are at the same position. You know, the speed of x is higher than speed of y. Now speed of y is 0. Therefore, definitely x overtakes y. X overtakes y. Did you get my point? If you get my point, please raise the hand. Negative na tusan. Negative na tusan. Okay. Fifth one. Both train X and Y travels with the same velocity in both stations. Yes. Yes. මෙයා බලන්න මේ ස්ටේෂන් එකේදී 0 වෙලා මේ ස්ටේෂන් එකේදී 0 වෙනවා හරි මූ මේ ස්ටේෂන් එකේ u මේ ස්ටේෂන් එකේ u දෙන්නගෙම ස්ටේෂන් දෙකේදී velocity c හරි ඒකයි මම මෙහෙම නෝට් එකක් දාගන්න ඒකට if the two objects it starts from the same position if the two objects start from the same position මම කියන්නේ හොඳට අහගන්න පොතේ ස්ට්‍රීට් if the two objects start from the same position when there is an overtaking, when there's overtaking, the displacement from the initial point should be equal for both objects. Should be equal for both objects. If the displacement are not equal, if the displacement are not equal, they are not at the same position. They are not at the same position. If the displacement are not equal, they are not at the same position. They are not at the same position. They are not at the same position. If they are not at the same position, there is no way to overtake it. There is no way for overtaking. there is no way for overtaking. Overtake කරනවා පුතේ අනිවාර්ය එක පොසිෂන් එකක ඉන්න බෑ නැත්නම් කොහොමද overtake කරන්නේ? Try another para. Displacement can be determined. Displacement can be determined. Area under the graph. Area under the graph. When comparing two displacements, when comparing two displacement, when comparing two displacement, when comparing two displacement, we can remove the common displacement of both objects. We can remove the common displacement of both objects. Then compare the uncommon displacement. Sorry, then compare the uncommon area. Then compare the uncommon area. Under the curve. Then compare the uncommon area under the curves. And then we can O, A, B, C, D. මේ දාගත්තොත් දැන් බලන්න පුතේ OBDE OBDE is a common area. Therefore, OBDE is a common area for both objects. Therefore, no need to worry about. We can remove it. We can remove it means no need to compare because area is same for both objects. Therefore, displacement is same for both objects. But if we compare OAB and BCD, they are not common. OAB relates to displacement of x. It is under the curve of x. OAB means displacement of x uncommon area. Displacement of x. BCD is displacement of y. Displacement means extra displacement. Last sentence. What is the last sentence? Listen, what is the last sentence? Now it is very clear. OAB means A, BCD means 2A. Therefore, BCD is higher than OAB. That is very clear. Therefore, at t equals 3t, the displacement of y is higher than the displacement of x. Displacement y is higher than the displacement of x. Displacement of y is higher than the displacement of x. Therefore, at 3t, at t equal 3t, there is no way of overtaking. There is no way of overtaking because displacement are not equal. Therefore, at t equal 3t, there is no way of overtaking. The last sentence was put there. The last sentence was then compare the common area under the curves. Then compare the uncommon area. Then compare the uncommon area under the curves. Again. Takdal bilangan. Hadi bitte. අපි තව එකක් කතා කරලා අපි මේ පේපර් ක්ලාස් එක නවත්තමු. ඊට පස්සේ පිච්චි බ්‍රේක් එකක් අරගෙන අපි circular motions පටන් ගමු. හරි. Now there are two another graph questions. So now there's a homework for you. Now there are another two graph questions, question number 5 and question number 6. Now you can choose the correct answer and send me your review. You can write a review. So this is the reason for taking this answer. This is the reason for taking this answer. You have to uh, write a review, Pute. You have to write a review and send that to me. Then I will check. Everyone please send that to me. Everyone please send that to me. No need to write essay. I will just mention the argument only. Just mention the argument only. So this is the argument. Due to this argument, this is the correct answer. Okay, that's all. Okay, there are two another graph questions. So you have to think like this. Then look at question number 8. Question number 8. And question number 5 skip करना मैं एक अभी कथा करना question number 14 में की तपस्या दाव से. Question number 8. Please tell me what is the correct answer. Question number 8. Question number 8. What is the correct answer? Figure shows a string which is around a frictionless pulley. A monkey is hanged one side of the string and on the other side a mirror which is equal to the monkey's weight is hanged at the same level of the monkey. Look at the following statement. Monkey could avoid its shadow. Yes. Its image එක පුතේ avoid කරන්න ඕනි. So how to avoid this image? How to avoid this image, පුතේ? Climbing up along the string, climbing downwards along the string, releasing the string. How to avoid that thing? How to avoid this image? Taggal again. How to avoid the image? Others, I need answers. Asit, Subrahma, Steve. What are your answers? Shashmita, what is your answer? Question number 8. Okay, Sasindu. Others? Anita? What are the answers? You know, weights are equal. Yes, 5, 6. Question number 5 and 6. Question number 5 and 6. Yeah. Question number 7 question number 7 answer question number 5 and 6. Question number 5 and 6. You have to do a review. But homework that is a homework. Now tell me what is the answer for question number 8. Question number 8. Put here mg and here also mg. Put Look at this one. Now there is a tension force on this man, on this monkey into the upward direction, and there's a tension force on this mirror into the upward direction, same one. Because of this is a frictionless pulley, and there's a slip place, a slipping over the pulley. Therefore, tension force are equal. The pulley is not rotating, therefore tension force around the pulley is equal. Therefore, force exerted on this mirror and the forces exerted on this monkey all are same. All are same. Is that clear? ඒක තේරෙනවද තුස්සන්? ඒක තේරෙනවද තුස්සන්? Okay. That means what will happen? If the forces are equal, so if the forces are equal, if the forces exerted on each object are equal, that means definitely if there is a motion, the acceleration of both objects should be equal. Is that clear? If there is no motion, then definitely no need to worry about that thing. But if there is a motion, the force exerted on each object are equal. That means if there is a motion, both objects should have same acceleration. Both objects should have same acceleration. That means when the monkey moves in upward direction, this will moves in upward direction, because when the monkey moves in upward direction, the rope will move in downward direction. So this will move in upward direction. Anyway, when the monkey moves in upward direction, definitely this mirror also moves in upward direction, because the force exerted on both objects are equal. Therefore, the acceleration of both objects should be equal. It should be equal. Therefore, no need to worry about that thing. Definitely, accelerations are equal. Definitely, acceleration are equal. Although the monkeys may, sorry, sorry. So, if the monkey is moving in upward direction, definitely this one also moves in upward direction, because forces are equal. Actually, no need to worry about the direction of monkey's motion. No need to worry about that thing. Forces exerted on both objects are equal. The forces exerted on both objects are equal. Therefore, no matter where the monkey is moving, the mirror should move into the same direction at the same acceleration, because forces are equal. Forces are equal. Therefore, forces exerted on both objects are same, equal. Therefore, acceleration are equal. Therefore, that means if the acceleration are equal, both monkey and the mirror will move simultaneously. So monkey cannot avoid its image. Monkey cannot avoid its image. Therefore, all may, no matter monkey is moving in upward or downward direction, it cannot avoid its image. It cannot avoid its image. If you got that one, please raise the hand. පැහැදිලි අවස්ථාවක්. I need responses from everyone. තේරුම් නැත්නම් මට කියන්න. හරිද තේරෙනවද සපුරු හරිද ස්ටිල් යොසිත් හරිද then the third one releasing the string when the string is released when the string is released when the string is released both monkey and the mirror will fall under the gravity both monkey and the mirror will fall under the gravity. That means again their accelerations are equal. Again the accelerations are equal. Accelerations are equal mean monkey cannot avoid the mirror. It cannot avoid the mirror. Therefore, from any option, it cannot avoid the mirror. It cannot avoid the mirror. Therefore, answer should be answer number 5. All are true. All are false. All are false. Did you get my explanation? If you get my explanation, please raise the hand. Tell Tusan. I need responses from everyone. I need responses from everyone. Thank you. Okay. Then draw this one. I will give an explanation. මේක අදලත්තේ පොඩක් මත මේ පොඩක් හැමෝම අහගන්න පුතේ මේ දැන් මේ 2025 බැච් එකේ එක්සෑම් එකෙන් පස්සේ මම කියවනේ ආයි අපිට එක්ස්ට්‍රා ක්ලාසස් දාගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. Sunday morning කොහොමද කරන්නේ? Sunday morning. Sunday morning. Sunday වෙන දවසක් නෙමෙයි. Sunday morning. Sunday morning. The monkey could avoid its image. Its image. Sunday morning. Sunday morning. එතකොට අපි Sunday class එකක් තියෙන full day class එකක් වගේ. Can't, no. Can't. Sunday morning. Sunday මම මේ ඔප්ෂන් ටික කියන්නේ මම ඔප්ෂන් වලින් මේ බැරිමුත් කියන්න ඊළඟ ඔප්ෂන් එක Monday මේ after this year පුතේ this is after this year that means after this November Monday from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. Monday මේ ඔප්ෂන් එක පුළුවන් කට්ටිය මේ ඔප්ෂන් එක පුළුවන් කට්ටිය මේ ඔප්ෂන් එක පුළුවන් කට්ටිය එකක්ද දැන් ඔන්න Monday by Wednesday. Wednesday same time. Same time Wednesday. Wednesday පුළුවන්. Wednesday okay නේ? Same time. Time එක පොඩ්ඩක් එහෙම කරගන්න පුළුවන්. It's okay. එහෙනම් අපි Wednesday තියාගමු. Wednesday එහෙනම් පොඩ්ඩක් කවුරුත් මේ පොඩ ඔලු තියාගන්න Wednesday මේ වෙන classes දාගන්න එපා. වෙන්ස්ඩේ අපි මේ like පුතේ අපි මේ නම්බර්ස් වලින් පස්සේ වෙන්ස්ඩේ වල අපි පටන් ගන්නවා. එතකොට අපි එක්ක හීට් ලෙසන් එක මේක කලින් මේ ඉවරුන් නැත්තම් මේ වේව්ස් එක හීට් ලෙසන් හීට් එක පටන් ගන්නවා වෙන්ස්ඩේ. හීට් ඕ නැත්තම් අපි ෆීල්ඩ්ස් ලෙසන්ස් පටන් ගන්නවා. මේ ලෙසන් එක පටන් ගන්නවා. එතකොට වෙන්ස්ඩේ. හරි. මේ මොකද මගේ පොඩ්ඩක් ප්ලෑන් එක මම පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස් කරා මේ දැන් මේ රොටේෂනල් මෝෂන් වලින් මම ෆ්ලුයිඩ්ස් වලට පටන් ගන්න හිටියේ මම රොටේෂනල් සර්කියුලර් මෝෂන් එක මම ක්ලාසස් දෙකේම ඒ කියන්නේ අද ක්ලාස් එකයි ටියුස්ඩේ ක්ලාස් එකේ දෙකේම කරලා ඉවර කරන්න මම බැලුවේ එතකොට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට නෙක්ස්ට් වීක් වෙනකොට මට ඒක ඉවර කරගන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම වුණොත් එහෙම මම බැලුවේ එක ක්ලාස් එකක අපි ෆ්ලුයිඩ්ස් ටික යනවා ඊළඟ ක්ලාස් එකේ වේව්ස් පටන් ගන්නවා. ඊළඟ ක්ලාස් එකේ වේව්ස් පටන් ගන්න. එතකොට යුනිට්ස් දෙකම යන නිසා යුනිට් දෙකම යන නිසා එහෙම තමයි මම පොඩ්ඩක් ප්ලෑන් එක පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස් කරේ. වේව්ස් වලටත් මම ඕගොල්ලන්ට නෝට් එකක් එවනවා. වේව්ස් වලටත් මම නෝට් එකක් එවනවා. මොකද වේව්ස් කියලා කියන්නේ මෙහෙම අමාරු පාඩමක් නෙවෙයි. බොහොම ලේසි පාඩමක්, තියරි තියෙන පාඩමක් වල. කියන්නේ අර මොනවද මේ ක්වෙස්චන්ස් තියෙනවා කියන්නේ මැතමැටිකල් ක්වෙස්චන්ස් තියෙනවා මොකද ඒවා ගොඩක් ලේසි මේ වගේ අමාරු නැහැ. මේ ඒක නිසා වේව්ස් කියන පාඩමේ ගොඩක් තියරි පැත්තට බලපානවා. ඒ කියන්නේ දිනේ පැත්තට බර පාඩමකට තියෙන වේව්ස් පාඩම තමයි උතුරේ පැත්තටම ක්වෙස්චන්ස් එක. මොනවා හරි හදන්න තියෙනවා. මේ ඒ නිසා වේව්ස් පාඩම මම නෝට් එක ගන්නවා. එතකොට ඒක ටිකක් මම හිතලා ටිකක් අපිට ඉක්මනට කව කරගන්න පුළුවන් මේ කියලා. හරිද? එතකොට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපිට නොවැම්බර් වලින් පස්සේ ලෙසන්ස් තුනක් යන්න පුළුවන් ක්ලාසස් තුනේ ලෙසන්ස් තුනක් හෝ ලෙසන්ස් දෙකක් යන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකෙදි මම එක ක්ලාස් එකක් අනිවාර්යෙන් ඇලොකේට් කරනවා පුතේ හීට් වලට. මොකද හීට් කියන්නේ ලොකු පාඩම. ටිකක් නේ වගේ ලොකු පාඩමක්. ඒ නිසා මම ওই 2025 කට්ටියගේ හීට් ලෙසන් එකට වෙනම දවසක් මම ඇලොකේට් කරා. ඒක හිමින් සැරේ ගිහිල්ලා දන්නේම නැතුව හීට් එක ඉවරුණා. අපි මේ ඒ කියන්නේ grade 13 එනකොට හීට් ලෙසන් එක ඉවරයි. හීට් ලෙසන් එක ඉවර කරගන්න පුළුවන් වුණා. මේ ඒක හිමින් සැරේ ගියේ. ඒක ඇත්තට කලබලයකින් තොරව ඒ කියන්නේ එක්ස්ට්‍රා ක්ලාස් එකක් දාපු නිසා. එක්ස්ට්‍රා ක්ලාස් එකක් දාපු නිසා ඒක දැනෙන්නේ නැතුව කව කරගන්න පුළුවන් වුණා. නැත්තම් ටිකක් ඒක ලොකු පාඩමක්. ඒක ඒ නිසා ඒකට අපිට වෙනම ඩේ එකක් කැල්කුලේට් කරන්න වෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්තම් නිකන් උඩින් පල්ලෙන් තමයි කව කරන්නේ. ඒක හරියන්නේ නැහැ. මේ මොකද හීට් ලෙසන් එක ටිකක් තියරි පැත්තට බරයි. ඒක කියන්නේ ක්වෙස්චන් ටිකක් අර අර සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අර හොඳටම තියරි දැනන් ඉන්න ඕන සහ ඒක ඇප්ලිකේෂන් පැත්තත් හොඳටම තියෙන්න ඕනේ. පාර්ට් එකක් එක. ඒ කියන්නේ මැතමැටිකල් පාර්ට් එකකට වඩා මේක හොඳටම තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ ලෙසන් එකක් හීට් කියලා. හරි. ඒ නිසා ඒක ටිකක් ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් ඒ කියන්නේ කාලේ ඕනේ ඒක ටයිම් එක ඕනේ. හරි. ඒ නිසා මේ එහෙනම් මේ ඩේ එක පොඩ්ඩක් තියාගන්න. එහෙනම් දැන් ඇලොකේට් කරන්න එපා. මම ඔය 2027 කට්ටියත් ඔය වගේම දවසක් වෙන් කරගත්තා. මේ නැත්තම් කරන්න බෑ. එතකොට එහෙනම් අපේ ඊළඟ පර්මනන්ට් ඩේ එක වෙන්ස්ඩේ තියාගන්න. වෙන්ස්ඩේ 7:30 to 10:30 මේ අපි ඒක හීට් ලෙසන් එක හෝ බැරි වෙලා හරි හීට් ලෙසන් එකේ ඊට කඩේකට කරන්න පුළුවන් වුණොත් වෙන ලෙසන් එකකට දාන්න. හරි. Okay. They write this one. They write this one too. The forces exerted on both objects are equal. The forces exerted on both objects are equal. Therefore, accelerations of both mirror and monkey. The acceleration of both mirror and monkey should be equal. Therefore, therefore, no matter, no matter where the monkey is moving, it cannot avoid its image. It cannot avoid the mirror. It cannot avoid the mirror as they have same acceleration. As they have same acceleration. Then when the rope is released by monkey, when the rope is released by monkey, both of them, both of them will fall under the gravity. Will fall under the gravity. That means that means that means that means the acceleration are equal again. The accelerations are equal again. So again, monkey cannot avoid the mirror. So again, monkey cannot avoid the mirror. And question number 9. A trolley is loaded with weight is pulled by a force of 50 Newton on a horizontal table. This trolley moves with a ticker device dragging a ticker tape. Figure 1 shows a part of ticker tape. By subjecting the system to different change when the ticker tape is drawn. Which of the following change that represent the figure 2? Okay. Now this is a now there's a ticker device. Ticker device is ticker tape. Now initially this truck is loaded by certain weight and pulled by a force of 50 Newton. Pulled by a force of 50 Newton. If so, the ticker device shows this type of pattern. It is very clear the gap between each adjacent points will not be is not changed with actually this gap is a constant. This gap is a constant. The gap between two adjacent points is common for everywhere. Is common for everywhere. This gap is a constant. Now again, now again, betul कहते हैं now now this may yes, now this trolley is subjected to some changes put there. Then again do the same experiment. Then what will happen? Then what happens? Then we can observe this kind of ticker tape. Now it is very clear the gap between two consecutive points increases, but although the gap increases, this gap is a constant. The gap is a constant. If you count the number of points, it is very clear. The number of points here is half of the number of points here. Therefore, this gap is equal to d over 2. And better I got twice enough, I have taken twice enough. Now you are asked to determine what kind of change is done for this trolley. What kind of change is done for this trolley? Can anyone guess? What is the answer for question number 9? Question number 9, what is the answer? Question number 9 is the answer. Yeah. What could be the answer? Look at this one, Putin. Look at this one. Everyone. Everyone, I need the answer for this one. Mummy, answer. Now tell me, now this is the first case. This is the second case. Now, if we consider about the first case, is there any acceleration or not? No. Anita, did the object had an acceleration or not? Why? What is the reason? What is the reason you answer? For your answer. What is the reason for your answer? මෙතන object එකට acceleration එක තිබ්බද නැද්ද? No. There's no acceleration. How did I determine that one? How did I determine that one? Yes, Pute, yes. May this object had a constant displacement within constant time. You know, a ticker device means actually it is a some kind of actually there is a some kind of ink or something. It is a something like pen, Pute. And so this pen this pen has a some constant frequency. Then this pen vibrates. Inside this pen object, Pute. Therefore, suppose this pen has a frequency of 1 second. I mean 1 second frequency of 1 second. That means for every 1 second, this pen will place a small ticker means a small point on this tape. Therefore, for every 1 second, this pen places a point. And now this trolley moves with a ticker device. With a ticker device means with this pen. Now this trolley moves into this side and pen vibrates. Every 1 second, that pen put a point. Every 1 second, this pen put a point. While this is moving, every 1 second, this pen put a point. Now it is very clear the distance between those points are equal. That means for every 1 second, the displacement of this object is constant. For every 1 second, the displacement of this object is a constant. That means this object has a constant speed. So if this object has an acceleration, definitely the pattern should be like this. Pute. The the distance between two adjacent points gradually increases with time. Gradually increases with time. You know, from here to here, time is a constant. If it is 1 second, from here to here, time is 1 second. So within that 1 second, this object displays that much of displacement. Within the next 1 second, this object displays this much of distance, which is higher than the first one. Within the third 1 second, this object moves this much of displacement, which is higher than the second one. That means this object has an acceleration. Therefore, if the gap is a constant, it is a constant in speed. If the gap increases, it is a acceleration. If the gap decreases, it is a deceleration. Therefore, we will have three kind of patterns. We will have three kind of pattern in a ticker tape. Therefore, what are those patterns? First pattern is like this. Constant gap pattern. If it is a constant gap pattern, definitely velocity is a constant. Then if the gap increases, it has acceleration. Main direction and acceleration में put in. If the gap decreases, then definitely it will have a deceleration in deceleration. Those are the theta patterns. This is the first one, second one. So definitely this is a constant gap pattern. Put the constant gap pattern means velocity is a constant. Did you get my point? If you get my point, please raise the hand. I need responses from everyone. Now it is very clear. In both cases, it has a constant. It had a constant velocity. So there is a constant velocity. There is a constant velocity. Therefore, both patterns are constant velocity pattern. This one also constant velocity. So if there is a constant velocity, definitely the force exerted on the object should be zero. Therefore, force exerted on this object should be zero. And it definitely should be zero. Therefore, increasing the applied force, we cannot have this type of pattern because if I increase the applied force, then definitely there is a possibility to have a external unbalanced force put in. So if I increase the applied force, definitely there is a possibility to have an external unbalanced force. So if there is an external unbalanced force put there, definitely it will have a acceleration. If it has acceleration, definitely the pattern will be like this, not a constant gap pattern. But in the second case, there's also a constant gap pattern put in. Although the gap is higher than the first one, it is a constant gap pattern. So if it is a constant gap pattern, definitely the velocity is a constant. That means force is at zero. Force is zero. Therefore, by increasing the external force, we cannot have this kind of pattern because there's a possibility of having acceleration. Did you get my point? My point? Thank you. Hi. දැන් මෙයාට පුතේ 50 නිව්ටන් ෆෝස් එකක් ඇප්ලයි කරන්න දිනවා. There's already 50 නිව්ටන් ෆෝස් here. There's already 50 නිව්ටන් ෆෝස් here. There's already 50 Newton force is exerted on this object. Therefore, definitely to have a constant velocity condition, this velocity should be balanced by somewhat. No. Therefore, this velocity should be balanced by the dynamic friction force. Therefore, this should be the dynamic friction force. And dynamic friction force also equal to 50 Newton. It should also equal to 50 Newton. Otherwise, we cannot have this pattern. Therefore, this is the highest friction force exerted on this object because now this object is moving. This object is moving. As this object is moving under a constant, under zero force, if any object is moving under a zero force and if there is a pull-out force already, definitely there should be a dynamic friction force into the other side. Otherwise, this force cannot be balanced. This force cannot be balanced. Therefore, this should be the dynamic friction force. Therefore, this is the maximum friction force exerted on this object. The friction force cannot be increased than 50 Newton because now this object is moving. As this object is moving, now the friction force comes to the limited condition. It is beyond the limited condition. Therefore, this is the dynamic friction force, or this is the highest friction force exerted by the surface on the trolley. Did you get my point? මේ dynamic friction force එක මේක තමයි maximum කියලා තේරුණා තුස්සන්. පැහැදිලි. I need responses from everyone. තේරුණා තුස්සන් නේද? එහෙනම් හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න මෙතන මේ 50 නිව්ටන් තියෙනවා නම් මෙතනත් අනිවාර්යයෙන් 50 නිව්ටන් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මෙයා මේ වෙලාව බැලන්ස් වෙන්න ඕනේ. මෙයා මේ වෙලාව බැලන්ස් වෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේක මේ විදිහට තියෙන්න බෑ. මේ විදිහට යනවා නම් මේක constant velocity එකක් actually. මේ constant velocity condition එකනේ පුතේ. මේක constant velocity condition එකක් නම් මෙයාගේ apply වෙලා තියෙන force එක 0 වෙන්න ඕනේ. මෙයාගේ ඇප්ලයි වෙලා තියෙන ෆෝස් එක 0 වෙනවා. හැබැයි අපිට දීලා තියෙනවා මෙයාට 50 නිව්ටන් පුල් අවුට් ෆෝස් එකක් ඇප්ලයි කරලා තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් මේක 0 වෙන්න එහා පැත්තට අනිත් පැත්තේ 50 නිව්ටන් ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. අනික දැන් මේක ඩයිනමික් කන්ඩිෂන් එකක්. මොකද ඩයිනමික් කන්ඩිෂන් එකේ තියෙන ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක මේක ඩයිනමික් ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක. ඒක තමයි ඇප්ලයි වෙන්න පුළුවන් මැක්සිමම් ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක. මොකද මැක්සිමම් ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක ඇප්ලයි වෙනකන් ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එක ස්ටේෂනරි කන්ඩිෂන් එකේ තියෙන එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි ඒක වෙනපු ගමන් එයා ඩයිනමික් කන්ඩිෂන් එකට එනවා. එතකොට මේ ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඔකට මති. ඔය වැලියු එක මති. Therefore, this is the maximum friction force. And it is the dynamic friction force. Again, if you get my point, please raise the hand. I need response from everyone. But I am only responding at the end. තේරුණා තුෂාන්? නැත්නම් මම ආයෙ කියනවාද? හරිද? That's it. Simple one. It's cheap. Okay. Now you know this force cannot be changed. This force cannot be changed because this is the maximum friction force. As this is the maximum friction force, this force cannot be changed. Therefore, if this force cannot be changed, this force cannot be changed. Why? If this force is changed, definitely there will be a unbalanced force. There will be unbalanced force. If there is unbalanced force, definitely we cannot have a constant velocity condition. You know, in the second case, there is a constant velocity condition. Therefore, definitely there should not be any unbalanced force. So, as this is the maximum friction force, this force cannot be changed. Therefore, here force is not changed. The force is not changed because බලන්න මේක තියෙන මාරම ලස්සන කන්ඩිෂන් එක තමයි පුතේ ළමයිට මෙන්න මේක තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන්නේ. මෙන්න මේක. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙතන මෙහෙම දෙයක් වෙන්න නම් තියෙන්න ඕනි ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එකක්. ඒ ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක ඩයිනමික් ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එකක් වෙන්න ඕනි. ඩයිනමික් ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් කියලා කියන්නේ ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එකට ගන්න පුළුවන් මැක්සිමම් වැලියු එක. ඒ නිසා මේක වෙනස් වෙන්න බෑ කියන්නේ. ඒ නිසා දෙවෙනි කන්ඩිෂන් එකෙත් මෙයා මූව් වෙනවා නම් මේ ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක මොකද වෙන්නේ? එහෙනම් අපි දන්නා මෙයාගේ weight එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් මේ ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක වෙනස් වුණොත් එයාගේ weight එක විතරක් නෙමෙයි මේ ෆෝස් එකත් වෙනස් කරලා දෙක වෙනස් කරන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා මේ ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් ෆෝස් එක තනියෙන් වෙනස් කරන්න බෑ. වෙනස් කරනවා නම් එක්කෝ you have to change the weight. If you change the weight, definitely you have to change this force also. Because here again the force is 0. Again the force is 0. ඒක නිසා ඔයා මෙතන මොකක් හරි එක force එකක් change කරොත් if you change either this force or this force, definitely you have to change the other force. If you change 50 Newton force, you have to do another change to change this one also. Otherwise, these forces cannot be balanced. පැහැදිලිද? මොකද මෙතනත් පුතේ forces balance නේ පුතේ. මෙතන forces balance. ඒක නිසා මේ force එක වෙනස් කරොත් you have to change this force also. Otherwise, forces cannot be balanced. Did you get my point? ඒක තේරෙනවද තුෂාර? එක force එකක් තනියෙන් balance කරන්න බෑ. එක force එකක් තනියෙන් වෙනස් කරන්න බෑ කියන එක තේරුණාද තුෂාර? පැහැදිලිද? Therefore, we cannot change one force alone. If you change one force, the other force should be changed accordingly to balance two forces. Therefore, you cannot do any changes to one force only. if you are going to change one force, the other force also, you have to change other force also. You have to change the other force also. Therefore, you cannot change that time. Have. Then, how to do this thing? Therefore, one force is increased up to 100 Newton. That means this force is changed. It is mentioned only this part only. Therefore, increasing this part will not be a solution. If we increase this part only, then what will happen? Then again there will be a unbalanced force with there. As if there is unbalanced force, we cannot have this kind of pattern. Then weight of the load is double. If the weight is double, then definitely friction force can be increased. Because normal force is increased, therefore friction force can be increased. And then definitely you have to increase this part also. Otherwise, you cannot move this object. You cannot move this object. Therefore, if you change one force, it will not be applicable. That means it is not a practical solution. You cannot change one force only. You have to change both forces if you want. Weight of the trolley is half. Again, when the weight is half, that means friction force is changed. Again, the same argument, you cannot change one force only. You have to change the other force also. Otherwise, there will be a acceleration or deceleration. And the fifth one, force is reduced to 25 Newton. Again, force is changed. You cannot change one force only. බලන්න පුතේ ආන්සර්ස් පහෙන් හතරක්ම කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? එක ෆෝස් එකක් වෙනස් කරපන් කියලා. ආන්සර්ස් පහෙන් හතරක්ම කියන්නේ එක ෆෝස් එකක් වෙනස් කරපන් කියලා. එහෙනම් තේරුමක් නැහැ. බලපු ගමන් ඒක තේරෙන්න ඕනි. එක ෆෝස් එකක් වෙනස් කරලා මේ වැඩේ කරන්න බෑ. එක ෆෝස් එකක් වෙනස් කරලා මේ වැඩේ කරන්න බෑ. Because if you change one force, you have to change the other force to balance these two forces. Do you get my point? If you get my point, please raise the hand. Thank you. Then definitely the correct answer should be answer number 4. Now the ticker device, the rate of ticker device is half. That means, as I mentioned you earlier, suppose if the time taken between two tickers is 1 second, now we can set it up to 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And we do not want to change anything. We can just change the frequency of the ticker. Initially it was 1 second. Now we can actually increase the time. Increase the time means frequency is reduced. Frequency is reduced by half. And now instead of 1 second interval, I can put it into 2 second intervals. 2 second interval. Okay? එහෙනම් පුතේ 1 second නම් මෙතන වදින්න ඕනේ. ඒක දැන් 2 second නම් මෙතන වදින්න. නේද? 1 second නම් මෙතන වදින්න ඕනේ. ඒක දැන් 2 second නිසා මෙතන වදින්න. 1 second නම් මෙතන වදින්න ඕනේ. ඒක now 2 second නිසා මෙතන වදින්න. Therefore, now rate is half. Rate is half means initially for 1 second there is 1 tick. Now there is a 1 tick per 2 seconds. That means 1 second half. And therefore, now The rate of decay is half. The rate of decay is half. Did you get my point? එක තේරුණා තුස්සන්. පැහැදිලි නේද තුස්සන්? Okay. You can write this one today. You can write this one. අවශ්‍යම දාගන්න. ඔන්න. දැන් මේක දාගන්න. මෙතන අනිවාර්යෙන් වාර තීරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ කාරණා තමයි මේ ඩයිනමික් ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් එක. ඩයිනමික් ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් එක කියලා කියන්නේ මැක්සිමම් ෆ්‍රික්ෂන් එක. ඒ නිසා එකක් වෙනස් කරොත් අනික වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනි. මේ වැඩේ කරන්න එහෙම නැත්නම් කරන්න බෑ. Okay, there are this one. Okay, at this point, make a point වශයෙන් දාගන්න. First point. According to ticker pattern, according to the ticker pattern, according to the ticker pattern, according to the ticker pattern, both object, according to ticker pattern, according to ticker pattern, the object has a constant velocity in both cases. The object has a constant velocity in both cases. Second point. There is a 50 Newton pull-out force in the first case. There is a 50 Newton pull-out force in the first case. Therefore, in order to balance this force, therefore, in order to balance this force, there should be a 50 Newton dynamic friction force. There should be a 50 Newton dynamic friction force. Next point. As the object is moving, this should be a dynamic friction force. This should be a dynamic friction force. Therefore, the friction force cannot be increased beyond this point. Therefore, the friction force cannot be increased. Sorry. ඉංග්‍රීසි කරන්න බැරි කමක් නැහැ. ඉංග්‍රීසි කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක මේ ඉංග්‍රීසි වල තනිකත් ඉංග්‍රීසි කරන්න පුළුවන්. Therefore, ඒක පොඩක් කපන්න. cannot be increased කියන්න බෑ. මොකද ඉංග්‍රීසි කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඉංග්‍රීසි කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඉංග්‍රීසි වුණොත් ඉතින් මේකත් ඉංග්‍රීසි කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒකයි. Therefore, next point. Therefore, we cannot change one force. We cannot change one force we cannot change one force only. We cannot change one force only. To have a balanced condition, we have to change both forces simultaneously. Therefore, change in one force should not be answered. Therefore, change in one force should not be answered. The same pen can be obtained. The same pen can be obtained by reducing the ticker rate. By reducing the ticker rate. Okay. The pedibula dara මේක ක්ලාස් එකක වගේ පොඩක් කියා දෙන්න ඕන දේවල් තිබ්බා දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙන්නේ නැති අලුත් ප්‍රශ්න එකක් අපි කතා කරනකොට පුතේ ආවට කියලා කතා කරලා තේරුමක් නැහැ ඒක ඇත්තටම අතුලටම ගිහිල්ලා කතා කරන්න ඕනේ මොකද එතකොට මේ ක්වෙස්චන් එකේ තියෙන හැම දෙයක්ම ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්නවා ඒක ඕගොල්ලන්ට ආයෙ සැරයක් ඇප්ලයි කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන ක්වෙස්චන් එක. හරිද? ඒ නිසා හොඳට තේරුම් ගන්න අපි ක්වෙස්චන් එක රිවිව් කරනකොට ක්වෙස්චන් එක රිවිව් කරනකොට ඔකේ තියෙන බේසික් කන්සෙප්ට්ස් ඔක්කොම ටික ඔය විදිහට රිවිව් වෙන්න ඕන. හරිද? ඒ කියන්නේ ඔක්කොම ටික ලියන්න කියන එක නෙමෙයි මම කියන්නේ. නමුත් ඒ ඔක්කොම ටික අපි අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩ් කරගන්න ඕන. එහෙම වුණොත් තමයි අපිට මේ විදිහට ඊළඟ ක්වෙස්චන් එක හිතන්න පුළුවන්. හරිද? මොකද ඊළඟ ක්වෙස්චන් එකට හිතන්න නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් ක්වෙස්චන් එකේ ආන්සර් එක විතරක් කියලාම ක්වෙස්චන් එකේ ආන්සර් එක විතරක් කියලා කවදාවත් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ නැහැ වෙන ක්වෙස්චන් එකක් හිතන්නේ විදියට. හරිද? ඒ නිසා තේරුම් ගන්න අනිවාර්යෙන් රිවිව් එකක් කරනවා කියන්නේ ඔන්න මේක තමයි. ටිකක් වෙලා වුණේ නිසා හරි මේකේ තිබ්බ exam questions සරියක් අර descriptive විදිහට කතා කරන්න ඕනි දැන් තමයි මුලින්ම තිබ්බේ ඒ නිසා පොඩ්ඩක් descriptive විදිහට කතා කරා හරි දැන් එන අපි break එකක් ගමු මම ඔයගලන්ට එවලා තියෙනවා link එක මේ break එකෙන් පස්සේ 5:30 we will start circular motion today. So you can join to the class using the new link. Therefore, I will stop the recording of this session by now. So you can continue the class. You can log into the class using the new link for the circular motion lesson. Okay. Okay. Then you can have a break now. You can have a break now. Okay. Please log into the class at 5:30. I will end the session. පුතේ මම මේක දැන් session එක end කරනවා.